Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Senior IT Project Manager with Daimler Trucks North America, Rod Flores.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to share the story of a very specific project that we had that involved visual communication and digital signage. Before I get to that, I just want to talk a little bit about the company. There's just some background. People don't know necessarily that Daimler What We Do. Everybody thinks Mercedes, but there's another whole division of our company, and let me just get to that really quick. So, who we are and what we do, this is what we do. So, big trucks. You've seen them all over the place. Probably this one right here. That's our Cascadia model. You cannot go, I guarantee you, 5 minutes on any highway in the US, even Canada and Mexico, without seeing that vehicle. It's our best-selling truck. But a lot of people will also know we don't make just over-the-road trucks. We make these heavy-duty vocational trucks. And vocational means it's your garbage haulers that are picking up your trash every week. It's the guys over here laying the foundation in your house with the concrete. It's the school truck that's taking your kids to school. The beer truck that's taking the beer to your favorite bar, or the groceries to the grocery store. Even the little truck that's out here rescuing you when your car is stuck in a ditch or in a snowbank. So people they typically think of another company, let's say a sports marketing apparel company, when they think of products, Nike, that comes out of Oregon, but those guys don't hold a candle to our products. We literally touch the lives of tens of millions of people every single day. Here's just where we are. Up here on the top left, Portland, Oregon. Been there for 70 years since the founding of the company. You'll see a big cluster over here on the East Coast. As you probably know, in the auto industry, a lot of people have left Detroit, so the conglomeration of not just us, but the car side is all here in the Southeast, in the Carolinas, Alabama, Atlanta, where our new corporate headquarters are. 50% of our production is down here in Mexico, and we're up in Canada as well. We're the umbrella company for about a half a dozen brands. You can see them down here. You can see their logos right there. 25,000 employees, 800 dealers network, and sales to 35 different countries. So that's really all I just want to give the background of Daimler Trucks North America. Essentially, we're the commercial vehicle arm of the global Daimler Truck network here in the US, Canada, and Mexico. So back to why I'm specifically here. I'm going to tell you a story about this project. Project Nova stands for innovation, so that's where the Nova is coming from. About 3 years ago, almost exactly 3 years ago at this time, we announced a brand new corporate headquarters. Our current building, right up here in this gray building in the top, is about 40 years old. And for decades, various CEOs have gone back to our parent company in Germany and said, it's getting old. We've got to build a brand new building. We've got to attract new employees. At the exact same time that was happening, this building, another one of our buildings on campus, had to go through a seismic renovation. The city said, we're going to have another Mount St. Helens. We're going to have this massive earthquake here, and this building, and all these buildings will collapse down into the sandbar. So the cost of renovating that with seismic upgrades was just way too much. So everything came together to say, you know what, it's time to build a brand new headquarters. So 2 years ago, demolition started, and 3 goals for the project. Number one is, as part of this global Daimler company, we had to make sure that whatever we were going to build was as exciting, as engineering outstanding, as excellent as all of the other Daimler products. But we're aging as a company. We're more than 70 years old, and this digital revolution is happening. And people are talking about Gen X, Gen Y, millennials. We had to build a brand new workspace. We're getting out of these high-walled cubes, all these silos, because we were trying to find new people, new talent. And that new talent is not going to be satisfied in a tiny little cube farm. They wanted an open, transparent, engaging environment. So The third item was that this place was going to be a source of pride for all of us in North America. It wasn't just going to be for the people of Portland. It was going to be for people in Detroit, people in the Carolinas, people from wherever we were among the 28,000 employees that we have in North America. So some before and after pictures. You'll see in a second this headquarters building coming up. But 9 stories, 270,000 square feet, 2 years of construction and $50 million later, we've got this beautiful building rising up from the ground. This is the view of the riverside. This is the view from the parking lot side. This is the view from our old corporate headquarters walking into the new building. And just a couple of other exterior shots that shows the entrance here to my right, a backyard patio where people are enjoying their lunch, and then another view of the exterior of the building. Let's step inside it. All the desks are height adjustable. All the windows go to the ceiling. Typical vice president's suite right here in the middle. This is the exterior to where our CEO's office. This is another manager's cube. And then down here, kind of a large conference room, typical with some visual communications, some video conferencing. And then kind of in the interiors of the building, what was really important about this, the reason I chose this, was that it shows a stairway. In our old building, no stairs. You only saw these elevators. And so you get in the elevator, and everybody immediately looks at their phones. They don't want to talk to each other. You don't even know these people. So we wanted to make sure that in this new building, it was open, it was airy, it was bright, and that you didn't have to get stuck in the elevator, that you could take these stairs between the floors and actually see the people above and below you. So what does all of this mean? You've got all these people, you've got a brand new building. This is what it means. At least this is what it means for me when I was putting this together. There were 3 big things that I think we wanted to attack in this building. The first is anybody that walks through that door, if you're an employee, a visitor, customer, supplier, we literally wanted to impress you. We wanted to inspire you with our products and our brands. And then it's time to get to work. So then, directed towards the employees, we wanted to inform, we wanted to engage them, we wanted to make them feel like this was a great place for them to work. And the third item was, in this transparent, open workspace, we wanted to really enforce collaboration, information sharing, and even when it's time to get away from your desk, to recharge, to relax, and some other places in the building that allow you to just get away from these desks that we had. So I'm going to talk about these in detail, and this is where the meat of the presentation is, and where visual communications and digital signage come into play. Impressing and inspire people was the first thing we wanted to do. So as you walk into our building, you're greeted with this massive banner wall of screens showing our product. It shows our marketing information. We've got all those brands that I showed you. It's got the history. We've got a massive truck in the lobby that changes over every couple of weeks. There's a there's a green wall of real live plants that are helping to clean the air. And I think the design concept was for this banner to match the branding that's happening on the opposite side of the wall. So I can't pay for your tickets to come to Portland, so I'm going to virtually take you there right now and show you what the office looks like. So this is it as if you're walking in, and I can actually spin this around, and you can see the space. Oh, by the way, if Google is still here, and they decided to give everybody some glasses, Google Cardboard, you could experience this in virtual reality. No, they're not going to give you guys the glasses, but that's okay. So let me go back and take you through this space. Like I said, when you first walk in these front doors, there's all of these screens. There's 17 of them here, 5 of them here, so there's 22 of them here. But then as you go down the hallway, it continues on, breaking, of course, for our architectural, because you've got doors and you've got conference rooms. And you go all the way down to the very, very end of the hallway, and you've still got screens. So it's very impressive when you first walk into the building. A couple of screens are reserved. This particular one right here, we call that Smiling Faces. Smiling Faces is because it's only for employees. So it's showing what we do for the community. It's showing what we do for the food bank. It's showing what we do for planting trees. smiling faces of just employee interaction with the community and all the civic work that we do. And also a really nice thing is this particular screen here. It happens to be 3 screens. When you're a customer or supplier coming to our office and you're having an event in the conference center, we quickly put up a welcome sign for you. It'll say welcome. In fact, we just had a dealer show up last week, West Coast Regional Conference, and it's not one dealer. This guy owns 12 dealerships. He owns Freightliner of Hawaii. He owns a jet. So this guy has got all these dealerships. So we put a sign very quickly and it said, welcome, Valley Freightliner. It showed all his 12 little offices. We went to Google Street View and we found, because there weren't pictures for all of them, and we put up a sign probably in about 30 minutes. That's all it took. And when they walked in, I remember the comment from the guy saying, wow, you guys spent a lot of time on this. And that was really heartening to my little intern dude who set it up, because it's like he's good at Photoshop, and he just put it together in 30 minutes. You know the dimensions of the sign, so you can just put it right up. And for the day and a half that we're in our facility, it just flashed back and forth every 20 seconds, welcoming them. So it's really nice to have that ability to interactively and make it personal for everybody that comes into the space. We've got our coffee shop. There's that green wall. There's a different truck. This one happens to be one of our older innovation trucks. People sometimes call it the Batman truck because it's what he would drive if Batman was a trucker. Keep going around. I'll get to this. Here's another digital screen. This is our cafeteria area. So there's a screen right there. I'll talk about this a little bit later, and then all around back to the front of the building. All right. I'll take another step forward. Get you another screen right here. This is our main elevator lobby, so I can zoom in really close and show you our social media wall. So it aggregates Facebook and Twitter and Instagram feeds. The videos that are showing outside in the lobby, those are a little bit longer to produce, but this stuff can come up instantly. Whatever's happening that day can appear on this screen right here. 6x3, 46-inch portrait. And it just gives you something to look at while you're in the lobby waiting to go up the elevators. And then every 10 minutes, this entire screen, let me go back to the presentation, this entire screen can change. And I'll show you that. Oh, there we go. Okay, so a little bit of close-up. You can see we've got some sports marketing material. We sponsor the Blazers. We sponsor the Timbers soccer team, Go Timbers. And we've got some information about our history of the company. But every 10 minutes, this is what happens. A wall-to-wall video showing yet another truck. This is one of ours. And this is our wind tunnel. And it just gives the opportunity to disrupt the space, have people see some videos, see something. That was the concept of this whole thing. It was basically a 11-foot by 10-foot wide window that you could have a truck running at you if you wanted to do it. Or because it's so huge, we could shoot our CEO. I don't think I've told him about this yet, but we could shoot him walking across the screen, welcoming employees because it's signage, right? So 8 a.m., he could be welcoming people to the building. 5 p.m., he could say, get back to work. What are you doing, leaving so soon? So this is an incredible use of this digital canvas. I've got another disruptor video to show you. Why don't you go ahead and play that one? This one's a little bit longer. Only 30 seconds for that one. But again, we can keep enlivening this space. I've got you can see a 400-watt subwoofer that is stuck in the ceiling, but it makes the space come alive. People come around the corner. I mean, I questioned the decision of the architect when I first saw this. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. When I first saw this space, and they were like, why are you hiding this? Why can't you see this from the front of the building? And now I figured it out, because it was supposed to be a surprise. It was supposed to show people something that they did not expect. And when that sound plays and you don't see this, people like walk around the corner. They're just like, what is going on in there? And then they can find out what's going on in the space. Some things we want to do in the future, live video feeds, quarterly updates from our home company back in Germany. Our trucks are so high-tech now, I can track 300,000 of them driving around in real time via GPS. So I'd love to see a map on this space and all the trucks moving around in real time. And maybe if you touch it, this isn't a touch screen, but if you could interact with it at some point, maybe details about that truck. When was the last time it was serviced? Where is it headed? What's it carrying? How much is it? How old is it? That kind of stuff. So these two big video walls really serve to impress people. They really love this when they first walk into the building. They're really, really amazed by it. So when you're finished being amazed by the space, it's time to get to work. So this is for the employees. Yes, that's me over here in the corner. I had to model for this. But we needed to get them in their environment and try to basically help them do their jobs. How can we make you do your job a little bit easier? So we install these interactive kiosks. They're on every floor of the building in a very central location right outside the employee break rooms. On floors 2 through 9, they go all the way up. These are touch screens. So by default, if you don't mess with them, they're just corporate communication stuff. So major product announcements. This is our new Cascadia that's coming out next year. We've got corporate event reminders. We've got global news bulletins. It's that time of year again. You have to do employee survey. They call it survey season September because every September, everybody is wanting to get you to do your surveys. Touchscreen interface, a central area for the content, a lower area that's ADA compliant, so if you happen to be in a wheelchair, you can still reach the interactive areas down here. 5 features of interactivity. You can see the weather, traffic, cafe menus, an event calendar, and some wayfinding. I'll go into those in detail right now. Here's some additional information. The important thing about this, though, is that there are standard templates behind all of these things. So one person maintains this. As I said earlier, she can walk out to the different agencies. You get the size of the space. If you know what the size of the screens are, they just send her the material. She drops the photo in the template and then changes the text a little bit, and boom, all these things go up every day. Some additional information that we have. I showed you in that slide earlier. We've only been fully occupied for 3 months, so I kind of feel like the newbie in this conference because we're very new to visual communications and digital signage. But in that time, we've been able to use it to really quickly show lots of different things. I think we just heard about printing material and how laborious and logistics behind all of that stuff. This changes every single day, and it's very easy to do. Some KPIs. Ice Cream Social. We're a transportation company, so everybody has a car show. We try to drive people to the other building with the farmers market. And because it's digital, we can schedule this stuff in advance. So this happens to be IT. And every Tuesday, they call it Tech Tip Tuesday, the sign from IT comes up and says, hey, there's some training we can give you. Or there's what we call our version of the Apple Genius Bar. They call it the Tech Stop. Or maybe the Gearbox, our on-site store, is having a sale. Or, hey, did you guys know that they can do some custom work for you? And when we get outside of the interactive signs that are just moving around, here are those 5 things I was talking about earlier. We don't really do too much with this one. It's a real-time data feed, so it just appears if you want to know. It's got the, by default, Portland. But as a global company, we've also got some other locations here. I showed you Fort Mill, our Carolina office is, where all our manufacturing is. Detroit is where our powertrain group is. Mexico City, 50% of our production out of Mexico. Stuttgart, Germany, the home office. We get a lot of visitors, so this allows them to take a little piece of home with them. When they're in the Portland office, they can see what's going on back home. Traffic, real-time traffic. Again, don't do too much with this. We don't have to maintain it. An external data feed, but it covers all these with custom routes, north, south, east, west, and it centers in our Portland office right in the center of the map. Something a little bit more for the employees' cafeteria menu. Not just for the building itself, but for the little gray building on the right side. That's the old office. So by default, if you're in our building, it'll show you this menu, which is the cafe in the corporate office building. But by simply touching the bottom of the screen, you can see the menu in the other building. And If you want to plan a week in advance, maybe you want to see what's going on Thursday. They call it Taco Thursday. You can see on Thursday what's happening in the other building by touching all the screens at the bottom there. Similar to the corporate communications content that's always flipping around, this one is Excel-driven. So you don't even need to get into the Four Winds platform. You just open up the spreadsheet, you type in the menu that we're given by our on-site food service company, and anybody can basically, with Excel, keep this stuff updated, keep it up to date and maintained. The last bit of interactivity here on the screen is our event calendar. Allows you to plan in advance. If you're an employee, you want to see what's going on, you can put something on your calendar because it's about 2 weeks ahead. If the event happens to be in the building, it's indicated by a little triangle right here, then there's some wayfinding that it can appear. Some breadcrumbs will come up and take you exactly to where the event happens to be in the building. Some future ideas we have for this is floor-specific and team-specific signage. Every floor in our building is a different group. So the second floor is HR, the ninth floor is sales and marketing. So we'd like to be able to offer this to those groups to have their own content up, not just the corporate events that we're showing, not just the corporate messages that we're showing. Conference room availability and scheduling would be another thing we'd like to put in here, because now that you can see the entire building, it'd be great to be able to see what rooms are available at that moment. And maybe you'll scheduling it right then. You just press the button and you can reserve the room. And then sign-ups for all the different corporate events. And there's a fleet of Mercedes parked outside our office. So every time you want to grab one of those, you have to show your badge, and you have to talk to Lynn at the front desk. And it'd be great if you could just go up to the screen and say, I want this one. And you can grab one of the Mercedes or one of the smart cars out front, one of the electric vehicles, and you can tool around town with that. They actually allow us to take them home, too, so which is great. So I want to focus a little bit on directory and wayfinding because this is probably the most used part of our digital signage. You might have seen it earlier, but at the security desk, there is one specific screen that only does wayfinding. So this doesn't do the menus or anything like that. It's specifically for the building. Again, it's the most used because visitors come to the building, suppliers come to the building, even the local IT guys. I have to drop off a new laptop for this new employee. Where do I find them? So they go right up over here, and they press the button. Here's a close-up of that specific screen. It's got a You Are Here indicator, and every single one of these are touchable. So you touch the floor, the map at the top changes, and then it's got this really nice search feature. You select employees. You can search for conference rooms. You can search for restrooms. You can look for the exits. Here's the user interaction on this particular screen. You just touch employees. A box pops up. You type a couple of letters in their name. If more than 5 appear, you can use your finger to scroll up and down. In this case, I'm actually looking for myself. Once it is narrowed down to the name, you get some additional details about their desk numbers, their office numbers. QR codes are useful if you want to take that with you. You can't remember. I mean, this building is a chevron. It's very easy to find. But if you did want to take it with you, there's a great way that you can take that on your phone. Some of the ideas we wanted to do for this in the future is searching by department. I know I can't they're in HR. They're in accounts payable. I don't know their name, but I know they're in the finance department. So maybe another button for department. We've got 16 other facilities in the Portland campus area, so we'd like to extend this content to not just this building, but to the other spaces. And then wayfinding in our other locations like the Detroit and Carolinas. Last bit of informing and engaging the employees. Again, this screen is right outside of our cafeteria menu, and by default, it shows you what's going on in that menu in that building. You don't need to see what's in the next building, but if you wanted to, you could just go back to the employee kiosk. We move into some day parting at 2 p.m. When the cafeteria closes, it helps you find out how your commute home is going to be. So this basically closes the area where we're talking about our different employees. Got a couple of minutes. I've got 1 more minute left, so I'm going to wrap up here with a specific implementation here. The last little bit, not so much about signage, but we've got all this technology in the building, and we wanted to drive people to start working together. So there's all kinds of different spaces for people to, so some of them are like your sofas, and maybe you're like your living room and your coffee table. Except for this coffee table you can write on. Some have a great view. You're up at the 9th floor in the corner. Some of them are these little gumdrop areas with just a place to put your laptop. And then some of them are the more traditional. You can have 5 or 6 people around a table there. We've got some areas that do have screens, though. So if you wanted to share and collaborate, you can put a USB button on your laptop. You press that button, and it appears on the screen. And we've got one final piece of technology to help people work together. It basically is a room scheduler. We didn't go with we know we could put this on the Four Winds platform, but this was already a decision made before I joined the project. What's nice about this one is that if you look down the hallway, you can see which rooms are available, which ones are in use just by the color coding. And if you press the buttons, you can interact with the screens to book that room right now or find out any other rooms. Here's my last slide. Sometimes you need to get away from, I probably even say this here, sometimes you don't want a screen. In this conference, it's all about the screens, but you got to have some balance. So if you want to get away from your desk in our new offices, there's places where you can do that. You can hide away from everybody. You can go to the employee lounge. You can watch some cable TV. You can isolate yourself in these chairs where it's super quiet. You can play some ping pong or do what I do, which is go out in these open terraces and really enjoy the river. So I wanted to thank you guys. A shout out to the Four Winds teams who helped us do this incredible implementation. I know Nick is here, and he's my PM counterpart on the Four Winds side, and Aaron for doing the artistic design, and Julie for the sign build, and Nimesh and Trevor on the back end. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for having me. I love sharing my story. This was a pleasure, and I got like a couple of seconds left. If there's any questions, happy to take them. And I think if you need to get a hold of me, yes, please. Yes, definitely. Before we put this in our Portland office, our East Coast operation decided to strike out on their own with social media. And one day, I just happened to click on the link to their sign, and there was a ha, 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 look at this. And it was one of our Cascadias tearing down the road, doing a corner too tight, and just knocking down flag poles and knocking down. It wasn't good. So this is all corporate media. By default, everything in the interface is checked no, don't display, but a simple green check of yes, and then it'll show up in the wall a couple of minutes later. Yeah, we definitely don't want people seeing our trucks knocking down flagpoles and knocking down mailboxes like that truck. Those guys got in trouble for that. Anything else? Okay, great. Thank you so much.